Saya telah berusaha keras untuk berada di sini untuk mewakili suara minoriti yang sering kali disurutkan. Dan saya sangat berharap Kementerian Pendidikan Tinggi mendengar ini dan semoga Malaysia menjadi tempat yang adil bagi kita semua.
Over 2 weeks ago, more than 300,000 candidates who completed the 2023 Sijil Pelajaran Malaysia received their results. Amidst the celebration and joy at scoring top grades, questions linger about the criteria for admission into matriculation programs and foundation studies at public universities. For years, some students were puzzled by receiving admission offers to courses not of their preference. At the heart of Malaysian education policy, the racial quota system continues to be a contentious topic. Critics argue it discriminates against non-bumiputera communities. However, many defend the policy, claiming it provides crucial educational opportunities for disadvantaged students from rural and low-income backgrounds. In this special report, KiniTV explores the long-standing question, how difficult it is to get into public universities for a non-bumiputera. Although the government abolished race-based admissions to public universities in 2002, the quota system remains in the matriculation colleges with a 90% quota for bumiputeras. The matriculation program, seen as a fast-track option to enter public universities, was originally fully reserved for bumiputeras. Since 2002, a 10% non-bumiputera quota has been put in place. In December last year, former Higher Education Minister Khalid Nordin said bumiputras made up 81.9% of public university intake in 2022, while the balance of 18.1% was non-bumiputera. The ministry also highlighted entrepreneurship, commerce, management and education as the top courses for STPM graduates. Similarly, popular courses for pre-university graduates include accountancy, mechanical and civil engineering, business administration and medicine. Given these trends, how challenging is it for non-bumiputera students to secure enrollment in these sought-after courses? Tracing back to July of last year, Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim confirmed that the Bumiputera quota for the matriculation program would remain in place. Anwar was quoted as saying that while he agreed this quota system should be retained, efforts are needed to ensure more spaces for non-bumiputera students so that they would not feel sidelined. Meanwhile, Free Malaysia Today quoted ISEAS Yusof Ishak Institute senior lecturer Lee Hock Aun as saying that the problem was perhaps more acute before the 1990s. Lee noted that since the proliferation of private higher education in Malaysia, alternatives to public universities have become more affordable than before. In informal street interviews conducted by KiniTV last month during the Kuala Kubu Baru by-elections, the Indian community raised concerns regarding the quota system. In particular, Indian students with good grades were not able to secure opportunities to further their studies in local universities. In November last year, a recipient of the Royal Education Award called for meritocracy in education and the protection of minorities as part of his award acceptance speech. In his speech, M. Navin recalled how he was accepted into a matriculation course while his equally qualified friend was not.
Dia berasa kalah, seolah-olah ini akhir kehidupannya. Dia mula merasa kesunyian dan mengalami kemurungan kerana dia percaya dirinya tidak mencukupi. Apabila saya memasuki program matrikulasi, saya terkejut kerana terdapat pelajar-pelajar yang mempunyai penyampaian tidak hanya sama dengan dia, malah lebih rendah daripadanya. Para hadirin dan hadirat yang dihormati sekalian, sahabat saya kini sudah tiada. Dan saya boleh jamin kepada anda semua bahawa jika dia diberi peluang yang sama seperti saya, dialah yang akan berucap pada pagi ini dan bukan saya.
KiniTV also interviewed University Malaya students to hear their perspectives on the issue. During the conversation with the students, some expressed dissatisfaction with the system, recounting personal stories or those of their friends.
To me, quota system is something that maybe has an impact on admission of, since it's regarding races, it doesn't have an impact, but many of my Chinese friends, they wanted to enter UM very easily because foundation studies in UM, it kind of helps with securing a place in UM, but they failed to get so because of the quota and such. Also goes with my Indian friends. Also applies to matriculation as well lah. And yeah, but however, since they got into some things like private studies, and then they got into UM on the satu line, so it's gonna be different regarding financial in financial stuff. Yeah.
Actually, I think this is depends on luck lah. Because some of the students are very well in their exam but also cannot get the matrix. Okay, so maybe it's unfair lah, because it's 10% of the quota can masuk the matrix only.
I got a good pointer in my STBM, but I didn't get to go through UPU, but I get through this private thing which is called Satu in UM. So I didn't get to go through UPU because due to the competition among the races during the time.
Over the years, this has led to a widespread belief that non-bumiputras have to work much harder to compete with the bumiputras for the same access to a place in university. People with means will send their children to private institutions or overseas to continue with their studies. Race-based policies have also contributed to brain drain, with talented non-bumiputra students and graduates seeking employment opportunities abroad. So, apart from matriculation and public universities, what are the other available affordable options in Malaysia? The most common alternative is Form 6, the sixth form of secondary education available in many national secondary schools, serving as a pre-university program. However, this pathway takes longer time to complete and STPM is perceived to be more difficult. Another available option is the Technical and Vocational Education and Training, also known as TVET, which is open to individuals aged 18 to 30 who have completed secondary school. These options also differ in terms of financial requirements, curriculum, offerings, and facilities available. The next big question, how much do parents have to save up and pay for tertiary education? The average cost of studying at public universities ranges from 7,500 ringgit to 15,000 ringgit, whereas private universities require a minimum of 14,900 ringgit to 65,300 ringgit. For parents to save 65,000 ringgit by the time their child turns 18, they would need to set aside at least 300 ringgit per month, starting from birth. In discussions on Facebook, netizens also highlighted that factors such as inflation and the depreciation of the ringgit could impact the value of these savings. According to data from the Department of Statistics Malaysia, the average household income per month was 8,479 ringgit in 2022. While public universities seem to be more affordable compared to private universities, non-bumiputra students still face competition with bumiputra students for spots, particularly in highly sought-after courses. So what are some of the actions that could be taken to improve the current admission system? UM students highlighted financial considerations as one of the key factors requiring attention.
I don't think quota should be made by races, maybe. It could be expanded, the quota, but however, we have to pay attention to people's incomes, their families, and their backgrounds more rather than their races. Yeah.
Increasing scholarship programs and support services for disadvantaged students, regardless of their racial background, could reduce the reliance on racial quotas. There are calls for the government to reassess affirmative action policies, which have been in place for decades, to determine if they need to be redefined to promote greater inclusivity beyond race, considering their historical emphasis on racial factors in Malaysia. Some suggest that ethnic quotas can remain, but with improvements made to the criteria focusing on prioritizing B40 households and students from rural areas, including indigenous communities. In conclusion, Malaysian education policy needs to adapt to the changing requirements of a dynamic and diverse society, while also achieving its desired economic advancement. Camelia Azlan for KiniTV.